is such a special place. You can be from anywhere in the world and you'll be welcomed with open arms.
You look pretty.
Looking good. You were way more happy about video than I was.
Anyway. I mind it. It's there. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Breaking Bread, the Birmingham food podcast, presented by food obsessed brothers from another mothers. I'm Liam.
I'm Carl.
That's Carl.
I jumped the gun there. I'm Carl.
We don't have scripts. This isn't professional. It's all good.
This is the level. This is what you're going to... You want to know what to expect. It's this.
Yeah.
But with other people as well.
So today's episode is with Ravine Rabbit, Ash and Erin.
Yes.
Two absolute superstars. In this episode, we get to hear both their stories, how they ended up in Birmingham, and kind of the love story that created their awesome restaurant in Stirchley, Ravine Rabbit. I think they just call it Rabbit now.
Yeah, it is. I think so, yeah. It is Rabbit.
Yeah, Rabbit. Also, there's some good bits, some useful bits in there if you're in the industry as well. You know, they talk a little bit about having a pop-up and how using pop-ups to kind of put the feelers out.
I think pop-ups are a great way of getting started on it now, just to get you, find your feet. You don't lose too much either. You're not invested too heavily. And
yeah, it seems crazy not to be honest. Yeah, so that's all coming up. But first, I'm going to tell you about our two sponsors. It still feels weird to say we have sponsors.
I know, yeah, it's mad, eh?
Harry and Catherine, Burning Barn Rum, two people that we're absolutely chuffed to be working with.
Yeah.
Obviously, locally made craft rum, produced right here in the West Midlands, also known as Greater Birmingham to me and him. Fight me. Yeah, just they have a fantastic story. Go check out the show notes if you want to find out more about them. Or go back to last week's episode and go and have a listen to our chat with Harry and find out exactly what they do, because just a phenomenal company. Thanks very much to our second sponsor, Easy Food, the delivery app from the Easy family, of Stelios fame.
Yeah.
Here to take on the big guns in true Easy Stelios fashion.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I think.
Yeah, here to save local businesses. Well, not here to save businesses money.
All businesses, yeah.
Here to save businesses money. They're on a mission to support takeaway restaurant businesses who do deliveries, by not ripping you off and charging the usual 40% fee. They charge a flat fee. I definitely recommend you go check them out, because to us, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Go check out Easy Food. As I said, them links are in the show notes. So thanks to our sponsors. How's things been, mate?
It's good. It's good to be back. It's good to be doing this. It took a long time to get this series done, mainly because we had to wait till we'd finished the whole series, which we don't normally. We would just do one, release it, and that'd be every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you could get a lot more out a lot quicker.
We could get it quicker, but a lot of the time I felt like I was rushing it. Felt like I was doing a disservice. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved every single episode, but it's like we said before, we've got more to give, man. This can be way much better than it is.
Yeah.
We love what we're doing, but it could be better.
Here we go. Well, we're filming it. It's better. It's already. It's got better.
Better.
You get to see me.
See him. Where you been eating lately, man?
Well, oddly enough, the episode we're doing, it's Rabbit, and I've eaten there. Well, pretty much at nearly every pop-up they did, and I've eaten at the restaurant twice now, I think.
I can't believe you managed to get them a table. Do you know how hard it is?
It is difficult to get a table there. So what I do now, it's a tip. When you go, book your next table while you're there. That's
a good tip. That's a great tip.
I'd have a rolling booking. I'd happily have a roll. Just want a table every 3 months would do me. Happily.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. I've been trying for ages to try and get one. I think you have to go on at like midnight or something.
It's a fairly small counter style restaurant, so you are lucky to get a table. But you try, you'll get one if you time it right, and it's so worth it.
Standout dishes. I mean, I went with you once. I had the crab's muffin. Like everyone, who doesn't know about the crab muffin at this point,
Yeah, the food there. I don't think I could single out any dishes because one, you might not get that dish because she changes the menu that rapidly. Like the last time I was there, weren't that long ago, and she had stuff that she'd had on the night before that she just made, like what was left over, and made that, and it turned out to be great. So she put it on the menu the next day. And I think there was 2 dishes like that. But just everything. There's nothing bad, not a thing. Everything's fantastic. It's fast becoming my favourite restaurant in Birmingham.
It's fast becoming a lot of people's by the looks of it.
And if anyone knows how much I love Bonehead, to say that there's another restaurant even in contention for the number 1 spot, I mean, that's some talking, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm staying in Stirchley with my pick as well.
Oh, yeah, you go.
Yeah, I went chances for a change. I try and go at least once a month. I love everything about the place. You know, James, Cassie, the vibe. I go with my daughter. They speak Mandarin to each other. The waffle alone would be like fantastic. But then they put fried chicken, and not just normal fried chicken, like some of the best fried chicken I've ever had on top. And then the nice sweet sauce all over that, which I know you'd love.
I noticed I haven't had an invite to breakfast to any of these. I know that much.
I just love the vibe down there. Stirchley's a cool place, man.
It's fucking great. Isn't it?
Last time I went,
is
they
good.
had the wings, so they've started doing a brunch menu now, or dinner, lunch. I'm not sure, but you can get delivery. Like to your house, just get it. Go and get them wings to your house, mate. Them wings, you would love them.
Yeah, I'm mad for
hot
wings.
They were massive.
Wings.
I've never seen wings so big before.
Like turkey wings.
They were huge. They were even saying that they're a nightmare to cook because they're so big.
Yeah.
They're massive, and they were so good. Chili oil all over them. If you ever had their chili oil before, it's fantastic. So yeah, love both of them. We love Stirchley, which is handy. Obviously, as you've just said, today's episode, and I've already said Ash and Erin. I don't know how I can put into words like about these 2 people.
You know what? You don't have to say it. They'll get it themselves.
Yeah.
You'll see just the love they have for each other, the restaurant, the business, the city. And there is a disclaimer that comes with this, and literally, I need to check the list, but nearly everyone in this episode is someone that moved to Birmingham and decided to stay.
Oh, in this series, yeah.
In this series,
season,
which I find balmy. That's even more like, you understand the people, us, like we were born here and this is where we are, but people that have come from somewhere else and been like, no, I'm going to call this my home. I find that even more amazing.
I think it's testament to the city.
Yeah, it is.
We've always raved about it.
Now the people are just coming from all over and stopping in.
Yeah, so I'm not even going to hold you up. Like Carl says, you'll see for yourself. Hope you enjoy listening, watching this episode as much as we love making it.
Watching, you forget that bit.
Watching. Take a look out for the clanger. You'll love it.
Yeah.
I nearly destroyed the whole set. This was the first thing we ever recorded.
Yeah, we should stay. This is the first time we used the cameras on this one. So
thanks to them for letting us down there and it going crazy. Yeah. Awesome. Hope you all enjoy. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks
Welcome
for
to
having
Breaking
us.
Bread. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Yeah, first time this year, first podcast. Should have done loads of social actually. We didn't do that, but we'll get better at that.
It'll come.
How is keeping?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. It's going well.
how's it feel having the most in-demand restaurant in Birmingham at the
Yeah.
moment?
I think it's only in demand because we've got 12 seats.
We can do like max 24 people a night, so that
Yeah, we've done I think 26 for our busiest night, and it was a bit hairy.
Yeah.
So we like to cap it off at about 20 or 22 max.
Yeah,
And
but there was
that
only
seems
two of
to-
you.
There's only two of us,
Yeah.
yeah. So I do all the Erin takes the orders and welcomes the guests and whatnot, and takes their food orders, and then I cook it all, and then I take it over, and sort of give you a brief explanation on the plate where it's where the food comes from, potentially the idea behind it, and then and leave you to it. And then I kind of like to try and read the vibe at the table of, some people don't really want to hear anything at all. They just want their food, and other people are really into it. So just kind of gauge that. And then Erin does everything else.
keep people watered. It is much more of an experience than just a dining situation, and a lot of people are very receptive to that, and I think that's why we have so much fun doing it and why it works with just us two.
Yeah, and it's like it's very unique for Birmingham, especially. I would say it's almost like that omakase setting,
Yeah.
but it's like we want you to feel as if you're coming around ours, literally coming around ours for a meal, just hanging out with us. And 99.9% of the time when you leave, like, you know, we're on a first name basis. That's really nice. It's just quite wholesome, actually. Yeah, I like it.
It's where you are as well, like that vibe.
Yeah, which is
Perfect for where you are.
it's
We're in Stirchley,
perfectly
obviously.
situated, and we're on a perfect spot, and it's a nice little cozy oasis from, you know, the hustle and bustle of the rest of the city, which is really good.
But this is where like everything is now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
every new opening, all the places I want to go to.
Yeah.
Literally, it's everything's here.
yeah.
We're very lucky. We're very lucky. We knew we wanted to be in Stirchley from our like pop-up series that we did that started a little bit ago. But everyone was obviously extremely welcoming, but the vibe that was pretty unmatched for us was Stirchley, hands down.
We'll get back to Stirchley and this awesome place. But I just want to start by, we always go way back and try and get the whole story, but I'll start with Ash. So obviously not originally from Birmingham.
No, not originally.
Where did you
from
grow
Birmingham.
up and how did you get into food?
I grew up in South Africa. My family was originally from the Eastern Cape, where the name Rabbit or Riverine Rabbit came from. Grew up in the Eastern Cape and then moved down to Cape Town when I was young, and basically spent the rest of my school days and further there. And then the second I finished school, which I barely did, went straight into cooking school. And spent 3 years in there, like the whole shebang, and then got myself popped under a wing of my first mentor, Luke, and he really nurtured me like career-wise for quite a few years. And then I sort of like worked my way up the ladder real quick, and then he said, "Why don't you go to London? You know, it'll be a bit of a experience for you. Go for a year, come back, see how you feel." And I went. I ended up staying a lot longer, as one does. And then I came back to Cape Town and I opened my first restaurant. And then that's where I stayed until I met Erin. And then that's how I landed up in Birmingham.
So what was it about food? How come that was just the career? Did you always want to be a chef? Or?
Yeah. I told my folks when I was 9 that I wanted to be a chef, which is ridiculous because obviously you don't know what it entails. It's like saying I want to be an accountant when you're 9. You don't understand it. But even from then, they were very supportive of the idea, and I kind of never ever wavered off that path. Never considered doing anything else. Never considered going to uni and studying something or whatever. You know how most people say, "Oh, you know, like with my nan, who was like a great cook or whatever." No one in my family is a great cook. God bless them. It was the cooking channel. It was like the food channel.
Yeah.
Because we like in South Africa, we finally got like, we were a little bit behind on the channels we got or whatever, and then we finally got the equivalent of cable or whatever, and the cooking channel was on there. And it was the days of like when Jamie Oliver was, you know, on his scooter, and Ready Steady Cook, can't cook, won't cook.
The amount of people that have referenced
Everyone
Ready
loves it.
Steady Cook
Yeah,
is like an
Delia
influence.
Smith, and I was like enthralled. And my mom used to get me like every now and then she would go get like a shopping bag and do like a mystery basket or like Ready Steady Cook for me, and like tie me up, and I loved it. And even then, I weren't very good at school, but I was.
Do you remember anything you cooked at that time?
Yeah, 100%. I made the most disgusting lamb roast for my family once, and everyone sat down to have it, and I was so proud of it. And I tasted it. I was like, this is horrendous. But the first thing I really mastered after about 48 tries was a creme brulee, because it was my favorite dessert when I was a kid. I loved it. And I finally nailed it one day, like nailed it. And the high off that was just so amazing. And I was just like, this is amazing. As I've mentioned twice now, like not academic at all. So having basically being able to take like eggs and butter and cream and sugar and make a dish was like the best feeling at the time. And it still is in a lot of ways. I love it.
They put too much focus on academic anyway. Like,
Yeah, especially when I was a kid, like in the early 90s and stuff, it was like, oh, you can't cook. Can you play sport?
yeah.
And I could, to be fair, but I mean, you can't do well academically. Can you do something else that is valued? And I was my parents sent myself and my sisters to like a very prestigious school, very academic focused, very sport focused, where I always felt a bit sort of out of place because I wasn't academically, my academic prowess wasn't enormous. So when I started really like coming into my own and like, you know, when I was finishing up school, I was like, I'm going to tackle this cooking thing like big time. And I did. That's what I spent now I still am, however many years later, decades later.
Where
Still
did you train in
growing.
London?
So I went to the Ledbury first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then after that, I went to Dinner by Heston. And I was
So
there.
you took the easy route then.
Yeah, that's always been my vibe. The whole thing was when I was coming up, like I always wanted to be at like in the hardest kitchens, in the places where I'd learn the most and maybe have not necessarily a difficult time, but just, you know, kind of I wanted to go fast all the time, fast and go hard so I could progress quickly, which I did. And then that obviously led me to opening my first restaurant when I was 25, which was, you know,
Huge.
too soon.
It's mega.
Too soon.
Was that all you then opening when you were 25 opening your own place?
No, so I had 3 business partners, and the place itself was a wine bar, a butchery, and a restaurant. So my partners were the wine bar and the butchery side, and I was the restaurant side. And yeah, it was like I probably aged like 10 years and 6 months, I reckon. Because the cooking side of it is the easy side, and I mean I know that now. But you know, naivety it's all hindsight, isn't it? But it went well, it stayed open, and 7 years later, you know, here we are.
Was there anything that was difficult at the time that made you kind of question whether it was the right path?
Of cooking?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
and both.
yeah.
Restaurant, being a restaurateur as well.
Yeah, both. There was once in my career where I was proper burnt out, where I thought, what else could I possibly do? And for the first time I ever considered it and realized that I have no other skills. Because I've literally just, like, when I say I've been laser focused on cooking, it's all I've thought about, it's all I've done. I have hardly any other hobbies, which might sound sad. So for a brief second, I considered, you know, what else could I possibly do? And I ended up just taking a little bit of time off, like a month off, and like really thinking about it. And that's when I landed up at Dinner by Heston. And I actually just signed up for a stage there, you know, like an unpaid internship, which everyone was like, what the hell? Like, why not just go for a job? And I wanted the no pressure of it. I wanted to be there and be like, I'm not getting paid for this. So everything I do is going to be like full effort without the like pressure of being on a payroll or whatever. But even though that being said, within 3 or 4 days I'd taken the job anyway.
Stages
I
are
loved
valuable,
it.
you know. I know it sounds terrible if someone's not getting paid, and obviously everyone should get paid for the work they're doing, but it's a great way to learn.
100%.
Do you know, it reminds me of a story. Do you know Warren Buffett? The mega,
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. So his mentor was Benjamin Graham, and he was like a legendary investor, but he went to Benjamin Graham and said, I will work for you for free to learn everything you know. And Benjamin Graham said, at free, you are overpriced. You should be paying me for
Oh yeah,
the knowledge.
yeah.
that
That's
I
a
have.
big thing, ain't
And I
it?
think, so
That's a
there's-
big
there
thing.
might be young
for,
chefs listening and thinking, well, I'm worth more than that. I shouldn't go and work for these places for free.
That's the thing is, if you got nothing to offer, and when I say nothing to offer, you're a little bit of a hindrance on the business anyway. If you're a liability, right? And like you're getting paid, like you said, you're getting paid with that experience. And I always, that's what I wanted at the time, and that's what any time I've taken up a stage, that's what I wanted. And I still think now, like I would, if felt like I could learn from a place, I would do a stage there now. You know what I mean? If I wanted to go to like a bakery or somewhere else, and like I'm not a great baker or whatever, but I wanted to spend 6 months or a year in a bakery, like I would do it off my own back, kind of thing. Yeah, that's my opinion. But you know, the young kids might disagree with that.
So everything was going well in South Africa. So what happened? How come you're still not in South Africa?
So I'll paint you a picture. Summer 2019, I used to do like a trip abroad every year just to like keep my finger on the pulse of what were going on elsewhere in the world. Because as much as Instagram's like a plethora of information and stuff, it's nice to like go out and taste and see what everyone else is doing. So I were in London for a week, and getting towards the end of my week there, Erin slid into my DMs.
She was in a restaurant that I really liked, and I just dropped her a message saying, "It's one of my favorite restaurants. I hope you have a good time." And then the next day we went on an 8-hour date.
8 hours.
8 hours.
Nice.
Oh, it was an 8-hour walk around Hyde Park.
Yeah, and we just walked and talked. Didn't even stop for a drink of water,
Didn't have a sip of
for
water.
a coffee, for a beer, nothing.
Sat for a bit.
And that was the first time you met properly.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'd exchanged maybe like 20 messages
The night before. Yeah, and then that was that. I flew back the next day after our date, and I was totally in love already. We just kept messaging, kept FaceTiming every day, and that. And then I flew over to Brum a couple of months later, and then that's it. As they say, the rest is history.
Yeah.
We were married 6 months later.
Wow.
Yeah, and then obviously COVID happened. I'd already made the call I'd had basically this like push and pull for the last 6 months or 8 months or whatever of I'm in love and I want to be with Erin, but she was in the middle of her PhD, which I'm sure we'll get to in time. And I had my restaurant with, mouths to feed, so to speak. Erin would have had to give up her PhD to move over to South Africa. And in fairness, I can cook anywhere, literally, as long as there's people there. And made the call in sort of end of Jan 2020 to close the restaurant, but it was going to be much later in the year.
Like later summer, our time, like closing season, winter time in South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously COVID happened, and we didn't get that time. We had to close very quickly. The benefits of already having made that decision to shut is that for all of our employees, and we had 29 people, excluding myself, employed at the business, we had really good sort of retrenchment packages in place already for everyone, because we didn't have furlough or anything like that in South Africa. There was no help from the government at all. And we found every single person employment for after we'd shut. So everyone had jobs to go to. Unfortunately, a lot of those offers got pulled because of the pandemic, but when we did close, like very suddenly, no one was like, in trouble, which was good. And I had to I packed 2 bags. I gave my dog to my best mate and said like, I'll see you when I see ya. And then flew over.
Packed her whole house in like 24 hours, shoved all of her necessities into a suitcase, and then got on the next flight.
Wow. What did you say to her in them 8 hours?
Actually nothing. She was like, I'm really busy, and I've not got anything to say right now. Like, I've got to get this done. Like, we're running to a tight deadline because South Africa was doing a hard close.
Yeah,
as in
full prohibition.
If you're in the country and you're on a visa, you must get out within 3 days. And if you want to leave or you want to come home, it must happen in the next 3 days. Like, buy your flights and either come home or get out. And they were like, it'll be 3 weeks. And that 3 weeks was 22 months.
Definitely knew it wasn't going to be 3. Yeah, it ended up being 22 months. So if I hadn't gotten on that plane, we wouldn't have seen each other for almost 2 years, which was not going to work.
No.
I don't know if this is going to be a little cringe for you. I found 2 quotes which I thought were awesome that you'd said at the time.
Well, me or Erin?
You.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be a good way to kind of get back to it. But you said in your announcement at the end, you said you thanked Erin for, I don't want to butcher it, so for showing you there is more to life than work. I think that's awesome. Like, I think that's really nice. Like,
I mean, if you told me I would have said something like that prior to meeting Erin, I would have laughed in your face. Because that's just not. I'm not like. I never have been
Like
a melt, but I am
lovey-dovey
a
type
melt.
person.
I'm such a melt now.
And then the other quote was, for the first time, I have found something that is more important to me than my career or my business, and that is my own happiness. And I thought,
Well,
that's so
very
nice.
That's
Was there
very
times
sweet.
when you were working that you were quite unhappy? Or
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, before I met Erin, like I mean, I think you can tell by what I've said already, my career was my love. And what I learned, and I was very happy with that. And obviously there's like ups and downs that go with it. But like no matter what, I had cooking to fall back onto in times of happiness, in times of sadness or whatever. When I met Erin, I realized that, and it was almost like a light bulb moment, is that if you got no one to share it with, your success, it doesn't mean anything at all. And because we're so far apart, it was really, really difficult for me to kind of have those two things exist. With love of my life is across a couple of oceans, and the other love of my life, cooking, is here. And it felt like a real tug of war for a while. And then I realized that I don't have to compromise. I can have what we have now, and I can still cook and be here. And it's going to be hard, and it was hard. It's very, very difficult to move to a new continent and essentially start from scratch, especially with COVID. Like I didn't know, I didn't have a job lined up. I definitely wasn't going to open a restaurant. But yeah, look, I mean, we are now. So
here we are.
Did you find falling in love made you a better cook? You said it was all just your focus,
Ooh.
been a cook before. Like, did having something else spur you on?
I'm actually famously quoted as saying, "I cook better when I'm angry."
It is a quote.
It is a quote that I made accidentally. No, I do think you cook better when you're in love, to be fair. I do. I mean, it's one of those things like when you're content, I feel
Yeah.
like you feel a bit more like not that you push yourself more, you feel like a little bit like you can take more risks because no matter what, you've got, that support around you, which
Yeah.
I didn't really have before.
So, Erin,
Yeah.
where did you grow up?
I grew up in Hertfordshire in a very not known place called Walmer Green, basically.
Never heard of it.
No, very fair. It's a village across from Stevenage, and if you've heard of that,
Yeah.
I'd maybe not get off the train.
You're gonna piss people off.
I don't think we have many viewers in Stephen. I think you're all right.
We apologise to anyone in Stevenage.
There's two people.
But it's also next to a place called Datchworth, which is where I started my hospitality career in a pub called the Tilbury, which was run by a TV chef at the time called Paul Bloxham. And so I started working there when I was 14 because I needed some money so I could, pay for driving lessons and all of that jazz. And so I worked there front of house for a while, moved over to a place called the Grandison, which was a lovely Sappho-owned gastropub-esque type place. And I basically worked there until I left for uni. I did my undergrad in London and I worked in hospitality for a bit there. And then I had a very terrible experience where I was quite bullied by the head of front of house. So I left hospo for a while and was in retail for a spell. And then got a out of hospitality job as a mechanical design engineer after I finished my degree, and then moved up to Brum.
Because your degree was in...
Aerospace
I
engineering.
think Erin's missing out.
Yeah.
The fact that her undergrad was at Kingston Uni in London, and she did her undergrad in aerospace engineering, which is a very difficult subject anyway. And
I was the only girl in my class, in my whole cohort.
how
Wow.
many people?
250.
Wow.
Whoa.
And who
Yeah.
came top of the class?
Me.
Yay. Go on.
You kind of have to so when you tour around universities and you go and meet all of the professors and see all of the equipment and stuff, you obviously get to meet a lot of the administration team, I guess. And every university I went to without fail was girls do really well because they feel like they have to prove a point. And that was kind of drilled into me from the start. And I come from a line of engineers. One of my relatives is one of the reasons why we have chip and pin. And then my granddad he developed the steel that's in every suspension bridge. So I come from a line of like solid engineers, all men.
If you think there's any money in any of that, there isn't.
No, zero money. zero money. So I've always had like an engineering-y brain, and I've always been just like I've been very academic, but I didn't do amazing in my A-levels because I got really into partying, and my parents went through a really heavy divorce, and I just like didn't quite click on to what I needed to click on to. So I didn't go to like I didn't go to the uni that I wanted to go to for my undergrad, but I had the best time in London and met some amazing people, and I had a really good time. And it at the end of the day, it landed me exactly where I want to be.
You said you did a PhD in Birmingham.
Yeah, so that's where I moved to Birmingham. I moved to Birmingham in summer of 2018, and I moved here to do a PhD in ceramics, and not like plate ceramics.
It's not pottery.
Yeah, I was going to say.
On our first date, she said, I'm in ceramics. I was like, oh, she's a potter. I was like, that's cool. That's cool.
How would you... Well, you're going to have to explain it to me. What is ceramics?
I was going to say, don't stop there.
So basically, I really wanted to be an astronaut, and that was my main reason for doing aerospace engineering, because going to space sounded really cool. But ceramics are arguably the main material that puts people into space in the first place. So if you picture like a traditional, like the American space shuttle, the one that's black and white that everyone thinks of, all of the outside of that material, all of the outside of that rocket is ceramic. All of the nozzles that all of the propulsion comes out of, they're all ceramic. They're the only material in the world that can withstand 3,000 degrees C without melting. That's not what my PhD is in. It's in a much lesser heat-ridden material, but I developed a material that is currently being put into production for an aircraft that I can't name.
You made this material up?
Developed it from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what my PhD is in.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Sick,
Yeah. The material got presented to the government a few months ago, and not that that's amazing, but it was in a sealed box, so they couldn't steal it. Yeah. But material science is really cool. Like as a whole subject, it's like the perfect combination of physics and engineering and chemistry, and it's very understudied.
With running a restaurant, are you going to be able to still do the whole rocket science?
Yeah, I have done since we started the pop-ups, and I still do. So I do that from about 7:30 in the morning until about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then leave the labs and head straight here.
You're a lecturer as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I do some lecturing. I do some like tutoring and teaching, and I'm not quite designing content for people to learn yet, but that's like the next step. So I do, I guess, 90% research at the moment, and then the next step is to split that time into research and teaching and module developing for...
If you keep pushing it, where would you like to get to with that?
Oh gosh, I'd love to be a professor. That's my...
Stay in academia.
Yeah, stay in academia, be kind of like the go-to for people who need new materials and students to come to when they need a hand with things, and getting money in to keep developing more materials, and more ceramics.
That's incredible.
It's a whole just blew my mind completely.
Literally, man. You should see when Erin's got her like laptop open, she's doing things. It almost looks like, you remember the Matrix numbers like coming down. That's almost what it looks like.
There's lots of big spreadsheets with lots of data.
Yeah.
Is there anything at all you can bring from one to the other, like hospitality and...
100%. I have to say it. So from the minute you start your PhD, you get the chance to manage student projects. So I think in my time so far, and it's about to increase by about 4, but I've managed 10 student projects. So normally it's either an internship where a student can do like a summer and get paid to do some work for me, or it's their final year undergrad project where you have to do like I think it's about 5 months of research or something. And my management skills have become a lot better. My ability to separate my emotional want for these students to succeed and progress and also do the work that I'm asking them to do while not getting too like completely emotionally involved and cross as the case is often, has improved massively, like my people skills in that sense, and also my teaching.
And that helps you, yeah.
It helps me here, but the hospitality helps
With
that so much.
She's very patient, like a saint,
Yeah.
which is why, yeah, you did. Erin
It
does the
works.
email. Erin does the emails and whatnot. There's like my fuse is a lot shorter, not like terribly short, but it is a lot shorter. She gives people a lot of grace. In
Yeah.
other words.
And you're mega into tea as well, aren't you?
Mega into tea. So when I made that changeover from hospitality to retail, when I was doing my undergrad, I went from doing bar work, which was obviously like 11 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning, which isn't sustainable, to working in a tea company that was quite big in London at the time. They've dissolved all of their UK companies now because I think they just grew too rapidly. But the tea shop I worked in sold like 350 teas. And
Different ones.
different teas, yeah. And so like different
Tetley,
blends.
PG.
Yorkshire.
Like different types of black tea, different types of breakfast tea, green tea, oolong, white, like any kind of tea. I can probably reel you off exactly how you need to brew it, how long for, at what temperature, how to get the most out of it, whether you need to brew it before you discard the first brew and only drink the second brew, how many times you can brew it for and still get good flavor from it. That was we got sent on a lot of educational courses, obviously, so we could sell the products, and it was a very customer service led retail experience. And I just love tea. I used to get to drink tea and talk about tea and get paid for it, and that was stunning.
Yep, sounds like a dream job.
You're bringing that into the restaurant as well?
Yeah, we are. We want to have quite a large focus on a non-alcoholic selection of drinks. And a couple of those will be like tea-based sodas, like iced tea-based drinks. Our welcome drink is actually a tea. So
we had it. It was really nice.
Yeah, so as soon as you sit down in the restaurant, before you get given anything at all, you get given a cup of tea. It's like a welcome to our home. We're excited to have you here. Like, sit down and enjoy this while we sort all of the bits and bobs out and talk to you about the menu, get you the kind of water you want, so you have something to like hold, especially right now. So we do it hot while it's cold outside. So especially, I mean, not today, but the last couple of months, it's been chilly. You sit down, you can warm your hands up, like get accustomed to the room. And then when it's going to be hot outside for our 2 weeks of summer, we'll serve it iced. But yeah, it's a perfect way to welcome people. It's just something we really enjoyed while we were in South Korea last year. We noticed quite a bit. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Korean tea, no.
It's not Korean tea.
It's rooibos, which is quintessentially South African honeybush tea. So it's something that I used to serve at my gaff back home, but it wasn't to guests. It was just to staff. Like with staff dinner, there'd always be like a big kettle full of tea. And for our 2 weeks of winter, we'd serve it hot. And then for the rest of the year, we'd serve it on ice. But basically the same recipe. It's rooibos, obviously water, a little bit of sugar, muscovado sugar, cinnamon, cardamom, and star anise. And it's a nice, like Erin said, it's just a nice thing. Everyone's pleased most of the time.
Who's not happy to get a nice little cup of tea when they go somewhere?
Exactly.
Especially in this country, like you go somewhere.
Yeah.
See, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I was going to say, have you ever been to a tea ceremony? Proper tea ceremony?
No,
I never
They make
have.
the
It's
tea.
on my bucket list.
Yeah.
It's
We went to like a
massively.
tea tasting thing where they like make it the same. It wasn't the same thing, but you could see the effort that was going into it, and it felt there was like a real big connection to it, and I don't know why, but it was like the little brush and
I'd love to do.
like, it
I'd
was
love
so
to do
nice.
Matcha's a stunning tea, and
that. I mean, does any matcha actually match up to your standard? Because like every matcha I've ever said, like, look at this, you're like, that looks terrible. It's true.
Speak to Sam. There's Sam Bolton.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like
Yeah, you were in the other
mad
night.
green teas.
Yeah.
He came in with several sakis and his
A sake set that he was
sake-
drinking as sake.
yeah, he
out
came
of.
with like all his accoutrements, his like ceramics and all that.
Wow.
Mm.
And he knew exactly what to have when at what temp and like so on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big thing now. So I think even
Mhm.
a lot of restaurants, when you look at the wine menu at fancy
There'll
places,
be
they have
a
sake
sake, yeah.
section.
We definitely actually, because he left us a couple of tasters before a little bit out of each bottle that he had for us to have when he left. And definitely, I said to him a couple of days later, I was like, definitely want to like hit you up on like, you know, what kind of vibe, because I don't know anything about sake. What kind of vibe you think we should have in the restaurant? Because we definitely want to have one or two on. Because guests have brought it in. It's not just Sam that's
Yeah.
brought
Yeah.
sake, and there's been a few guests. Instead of wine, they brought a bottle of sake.
It's nice. It's very drinkable.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I don't think I haven't had many I didn't like. to be
Yeah,
honest.
me
No,
neither. Me neither.
no.
Very true. Yeah.
Erin, at what point did Ash say, right, so you're in Birmingham now together? Did you move straight to Birmingham? Yeah, because you were doing your PhD here. And she said, oh, we're going to open our restaurant and I want you to be involved.
It
What
was,
point was that?
it was less that, and it was more a case of let's make this happen. It was never Ash being like, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it. It was a case of we knew that Ash wanted to open a restaurant. That was always like a no-brainer. And it was a very like team-based, like, how do we do this? What are we going to do? How can we make this happen? And what does it look like? We're both very, very good problem solvers. And we knew what the problem was in that Ash wanted to cook her own food. And we'd done a pop-up in Cape Town in 2022. And that had gone swimmingly well, considering I think you not really had somebody like your partner in the kitchen next to you like that.
No, and I had like, I was deathly ill as well. When it came round, I was on death's door with like flu. I don't think it was COVID because
It's like an African flu, which when you've been in the UK for a spell,
whenever we go home, we both get ill with like whatever
Something.
virus is kicking about. And I was right in the throes of that when we did that pop up. But it went really, as Erin said, it went really well. But I think what you said about us kind of like having something in mind and then saying, how do we do this, is when I started working in Brum, I started working those old school chefy hours, and Erin and I would be like ships in the night for 4 or 5 days a week, where we would barely, because as Erin mentioned, she gets up dead early, and I was pretty much getting up at the same time to go to work, but I was coming home after midnight and she was already in bed by then. So we just weren't seeing each other, and it sort of was like, moved all the way over here, and now we basically like hardly see each other. How do we mitigate this? How do we, like, what's the solution here? And the idea was to always, like, you know, work for a couple of years in Birmingham, get a lay of the land, and then open something small and intimate that we could both be a part of. And that was definitely bolstered by us like spending like 2 or 3 years like not seeing each other as much as we want to.
yeah.
And so yeah, that's where the pop-ups came from, at least, because it's like, I'm going to step away from my full-time job and we'll do the pop-ups. We'll see how they go, gauge a temperature for it. If they don't have legs, then I'll just get another job. It's fine.
What was your first pop up in Birmingham?
It was at Kilda.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was at Kilda, yeah.
May
yeah.
the 4th.
No, it wasn't May.
March the 4th,
Yeah,
sorry. An M
March.
month.
And like silly me had done, we'd done a full week at Kilda, or like a weekend at Kilda. It's like the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then literally the next day we were at Cork and Cage to start the next pop-up there, because my toxic trait is like, oh yeah, it'd be fine. and we did 2 weeks at Cork and Cage after that, and it all went really well, and like it was well received, and I laugh when I look back on it now. I was like, damn, that was cowboy vibes, but it did go well.
It did go well, and
We
on
didn't have any
our
like systems or anything.
no systems, we didn't really have like a chat about how things would go. We just stepped into our boots and cracked on.
Yeah.
And then after our first week at Cork and Cage, we had a sit down over some beer, and we were like, let's open a restaurant.
Yeah. That's pretty much what happened. Yeah, it was like after our first, second week at Cork, it's a great place to do a pop-up because you can sit down for a beer afterwards, like a nice beer.
Yeah.
And we was chatting. Also at the time, to be fair, we were at the point where Erin had been in Birmingham for a good few years, 4 or 5 years, and I was starting to like feel a bit more at home, yeah. And we were like, right, so now do we stay and like put roots down, or do we move? Because Erin's got opportunities all over the UK and abroad. She gets headhunted all the time, so we could have landed up in Bristol or back in London or whatever.
Canada or something.
Canada, yeah. And it was over that beer that we decided that no, we want to stay because we love it.
The original pop-up mentality was that we were going to pop up in Bristol and Manchester and go to places that we enjoy, have either been together or separately, and like see what the vibe is, see what the food scene is like with us there. But we just felt like
it was
Brom's
that
our home.
We like double down and we just stay where we are. We like stick our roots down as deep as we can, which is obviously what we've done. But also at the time, and like even more clearly now, like it like took me ages to start feeling at home in Brum because I moved during the pandemic, obviously.
Yeah, it's not the best time to try and settle in
Hard, really hard, and like I left this like life behind, and I was trying to establish this new life, and I fought tooth and nail for it, and like pretty much around that time last year, about a year ago now, I was like getting over the hump of that, and now even more so, I'm so happy we made that decision.
So do you feel like this is your home now, Birmingham?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
What is it that's kept you here compared to, I mean, you could go to South Africa or Cape Town or anywhere. What is it about Birmingham that's made you go, yeah, this is the one for us?
I think there's more reasons.
Yeah, there's
to say no to.
Shorter
like,
list would be why not,
yeah.
really. Like the people are second to none. The sense of community is
massive.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And that goes for like any neighborhood we lived in, and now, where we set up business, and everywhere I've worked, and pretty much everyone I've come across has been sound. And it's one of those things where it is such a special place purely for that reason, where you can be from anywhere in the world and you'll be welcomed with open arms. Not to mention amazing food scene, amazing drink scene, half the price of London.
That's a big one.
That's a big one, yeah. And literally in the middle of the UK.
Yeah.
So it's a train journey in any direction is like really
London's
manageable.
only an hour and a half away.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not far
yeah.
at all, is it?
And Manchester and Liverpool, super close as
Yeah.
well. Like you're halfway to Edinburgh. It's easy. I love it. And yeah, don't plan on going anywhere anytime.
You don't live far from here either, do you?
No,
Just up the road
just
in
up the
Kings
road.
Norton, yeah. Which I'm also like fiercely in love with as well.
It's amazing. Look, we've been there for nearly 3 years now, and our neighbours are lovely. Like
Yeah,
we
it's
get
like
Christmas
never-
cards from all of the local shops, and
Yeah, I've never lived in a place where I've felt, you literally know everyone around you, not because you've got anything in common, but just because you're neighbours. And we've got 2 dogs now. We've got a nice little garden, and it's just nice. It's just very wholesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Would you recommend pop-ups as a good way of learning for anyone looking to get into opening their own restaurant?
100%.
100%.
Like you're putting forward your brand, but it's a litmus test. You're not going brick and mortar. You're not signing a 5-year lease where the brick and mortar, the lease, everyone thinks, okay, I've got a lease now. That's the most important thing. It's everything else. It's your other bills that you don't think about. It's like all other bits and bobs. Plus, you're probably going to have to hire staff. We're an exception to that rule. Whereas with pop-ups, generally how they work is they take a percentage of your turnover wherever you're popping up in, and that might be 12%, it might be 22%, but which stings a little bit at the time. But the benefit of that is when you walk away, like none of the OPEX is your problem anymore. You also get to like go to different areas, so you feel out, where your vibe is best suited. 100%. I think really anyone who wants to open a restaurant should do pop-ups first, just to gauge that temperature. Yeah.
And also build the community that you're going to be eventually serving. And I think that was a huge one for us, especially when we first released the bookings, is we have people messaging us being like really excited, like can't wait to see you guys. And people walk in that we've served X amount of dishes to in the past, and you're like, it's like families walking in the door, even though they're not family, because we spent so much like enjoyment and energy making this little community.
Yeah, that's true. Like if you went straight into, let's say, opening a restaurant, like you're basically being like, come to my place, you have no like frame of reference, come over. Whereas obviously we did like a few pop-ups first, and they went really well, luckily for us. Like Erin said, when we released the bookings, we had that we had the chops for it already.
Yeah.
I remember seeing them on the socials. I was like, Liam, we're gonna find this at some point.
And you were in.
And we came to the Deadbeat pop-up that you did.
That was really good. That was a fun one. That's the other nice thing about pop-ups is you've got your brand, and you may not necessarily know exactly like what your brand might be at the time. Like it may be like a type of food or a type of service or whatever, but when you pop up in different places, you can really gauge like, okay, right, so I want it to be a little bit like this actually, maybe, or a little bit like that. And the spectrum of pop-ups that we had were like quite vast. So if you're looking at like really sort of rustic, like the Duke or Cork and Cage or whatever, to the Gaijin pop-up that we did, those are like very opposite spectrums.
Well.
You've been to all of them, mate.
That was
Been
great.
to all of them. So you can kind of, you're like, where on the spectrum do we fit, and what do we want to offer, and how does the seating work here? What's the kitchen like? Is it in the back or is it in the front? Like, how do we want to do it? And that's one of the things that helped us sort of form the design for this place. Is like we want it to be that like kind of omakase feel, but I'm below you instead of above you, and I definitely don't want to be in the back. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It feels like it feels new. I don't know if it is new, the whole pop-up thing, but it just feels like in Birmingham there's a lot of places you can go for just pop-ups now.
Yeah. And it seems like all the pop-ups, like I went to Sam from Kobiko for advice when I was even contemplating the pop-ups. I wanted to know, how do you move your stuff around? Like, how do you take payments? How are you doing your taxes? That kind of thing, which was very helpful. And he's got his own place now. Well, I mean, he's settled at least for the time being in his own place, and that's another thing about Birmingham is like the sense of community amongst hospitality. Again, second to none. Like there's a real feel for it where everyone just supports everyone, and it's the same on the street. Like everyone's just invested in you doing well, and you are for them as well as an offset to that.
How close is this to what you wanted it to be?
It's bang on.
Yeah. You didn't have like designers and builders. Did you do it all yourself?
So we had Andy Holland who did the CAD drawings for us. So all the measurements and the what do they call it? Like the actual like dimensions of everything. And then we had him and Raj do like the joinery work for us, like the bar and that. Everything else we did besides the electrics and the plumbing, of which we had to replace absolutely everything, which is
It sounds about right.
a bloody nightmare. Yeah, take your budget and triple it if you're thinking about doing anything like this. But yeah, we've done absolutely everything else as all us, and I'm very proud of it. And like, I never ever want to put another tile down. That was hard.
We did all of the tiling in one day.
Wow.
And
Another toxic trait is us, each of us, looking at anything, whether it's breaking a wall down or plastering or tiling, being like, that'll take us half a day. And it doesn't at all. But considering we never laid a towel in our lives.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. We're very now. Even so, we've taken all of the gusto that we took from doing all of the DIY ever, and put it into real life now as well. So you have a problem, we're gonna fix it.
You come around and do my bathroom.
I'd love to. I'd love
that
to.
is one good thing is like we've learned a lot of skills. You know, if we extend or if we do a DIY at home, like we're there.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
it's fine.
We're not ready to renovate a whole house yet.
No.
Over like a few years.
God, no. I can't think of anything worse.
Slightly traumatizing. We'll get there.
It kind of adds to the story, though. So you kind of came here for love, and then you've kind of lovingly built this place now as well for somewhere where you can both work together and spend time together.
Yeah. It's a labor of love, and each day is a labor of love in a way that, like, you know, balancing our lives. When we work together, it's not quality time, but it's still time spent, which is really nice. We're quite good at making quality time for each other. That being said, like, working with the love of your life is amazing. It's just nice. And we very rarely, if ever, have any kind of, you know, like not even an argument, any kind of vibe between us that isn't positive.
Yeah. We've developed this ability to just, most services, the only words we say to each other are like, I love you, you're doing a good job. And it's just like,
That's
maybe
mostly
3
just you,
times.
I'm just
Yeah,
quiet.
it's mainly just me. But we don't have to be like, you need to do this, I need to do this, blah blah blah. It's just done. Like, we work really well as a team, and that's both in our relationship and
At
in our
work,
business.
yeah.
And I think the long distance that we slogged through and pushed really hard through helped us build a massive connection that just has grown since the second that you touched down.
Yeah.
And grows every single day. And in that, it just means that we can do this really well.
Yeah, and it's a business model that is really different, but it works. Works for us. I don't think it will work for most people, but it works for us. Yeah.
Is there any concerns moving forward? Because I know that you've said there's plans to knock through the back. As soon as other people come into the fold, that might change things.
We would have to then. I think
We'd have to, my dad's a very smart man, but he's also in construction and whatnot. And from day one, he said, "Don't expand," for the reason that, like, you lose that, like, special thing. I've been to restaurants for years and years and years, and they were tiny, and the second they expanded, they lost that, like, special quality. So we have the option to make this a 50 cover restaurant on top of the 12 that we have now. That's at once. In that case, we'd have to hire a full team, a full kitchen team. We'd have to renovate, have a full kitchen in the back.
build a new kitchen.
It cost us, conservatively, it would cost us another 80 or 90K. So do I really want to? At the moment, absolutely not. Will my mind change the next few months? Probably not. The next year, maybe, yeah. I mean, we're paying rent for the whole space. It's 1,000 square foot, I think. But, like, we're more than covering that with just this in the meantime. So it's something I think about a lot, but we think about a lot. But at the moment, I absolutely love it the way it is.
So, I mean, there's no point rocking the boat if you're enjoying it.
Yeah. And it's like a question we get a lot from guests is like, well, what's the plan? I'm like, this, you're looking at it.
Is this not a big enough achievement?
Yeah. I'm going to hand you this muffin. And this is the best muffin I've ever had in my life. And then
I'm nothing wrong. I don't feel like I'm being unambitious with just saying I want to make this experience the best it could possibly be.
Yeah.
My last restaurant in Cape Town was enormous. We could do up to 130, 140 covers a night. at this sort of standard as well, if not higher. And I loved it, to be fair, but I was very hands off on the cooking. Not hands off on the cooking. I was putting things on the plate. I was rarely cooking. And this now, what we have, I'm absolutely I'm relishing the A to B of starting from scratch, handing a plate over to you, and just enjoying you eating it while I watch.
Is there much of a difference between here and say South Africa? So if you've got how your restaurant in Cape Town worked to here, like just as like an experience, you've been in the restaurant, is it much different to this?
Yeah. The restaurant, as I said, it was enormous. I would say from my side of things, and this might get me a bit of shit, is South Africans versus Burmese, or not South Africans, is as a nation notoriously difficult guests.
Right.
And I think it's just a cultural thing. I think we're like a lot more like
very
aggressive,
direct.
We'll tell you how we feel. Whereas obviously, generally speaking, guests in Birmingham or surrounds are a lot more willing to like sort of, if your table isn't ready at 8:30, because that first table at 6 or 6:30 is still doing their thing, and you walk in, it's probably Erin's got a lot to do with that, but they're more than happy to wait 5, 10, 15 minutes or go next door and have a drink and come back, and there's no like drama or anything like that. Whereas if I did that at home, it would be not the case.
A little more forgiving.
A lot more forgiving. And I think that although Cape Town in itself is a big tourist destination, 80% of your year is local. And you'd be really remiss to not like think about that loads and like sort of design your business model around it being a local business, because for 2-3 months of the year you've got loads of people from all over the world when it's warm coming to South Africa for the summer or the safari or whatever, and the rest of the year it's local driven, and that's why a lot of restaurants don't last.
How would you describe this place to someone who's never been?
Oh, very difficult. I can't even describe it to someone on the street. When we were doing the renovations and I was covered in dust like in my eyes and nostrils and stuff, or maybe I was scraping paint off the front, all 19 layers of it. People would start, say, "What's it going to be?" And I'd be like, "I don't even know, man. Like, it's a restaurant. What kind of food? Small plates, like tapas. Not quite like tapas. How many tables? It's going to be a bar. So only drinks." It's like
round and round and round.
Round and round and round. So even our we had a delivery in yesterday, and our delivery fellow who's been in a few times now, I really want to come eat you, but I don't know what you actually do. I was like, I'm not even sure, mate, to be honest. I can't really. Erin always says, because with her degree in that, if you can't describe what you do in a sentence or less, then you don't really know what you're doing. And I'm definitely in that category. I just say it's a small plates restaurant.
Locally sourced.
Seasonal
produce.
All made by me.
Tasty.
Yeah.
Isn't there
That's pretty good. Yeah, you could do that. That's great.
Isn't there that saying as well? I can't remember exactly. I'm terrible with sayings, but if you can't describe it to a 5-year-old, then
Yeah.
you don't understand it.
Yeah, and a
Yeah.
5-year-old would be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Small plates.
all plates are small.
Also, that's such a buzzword at the moment, or buzz phrase, is small plates, because everyone's doing small plates. But for us, it's like we'll either do one of them like starter main puds menus, which we could do if we wanted to, or a tasting menu, which a lot of people don't always want, especially because like money is money's tight at the moment for everyone. Whereas when you come here, you can have off the small plates, and we'll guide you through it easily. You don't need to feel weird about coming in and having 3 plates and paying 20 quid or whatever. Like, that's fine. That's all good. Or you can come in and you can have 16 plates, which people do, and between 2 of you, and you can go
Tears
like
in their
whole
eyes
hog.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go whole hog. We want you to have that option. We don't want you to feel like you need to come in and spend 100 quid or whatever.
Oh, that's how me and Liam roll, isn't it? Just hand you the thing back. Yes, all that. That'll all be
It's
lovely.
good. I love it. I love it.
I think that's why our Mondays work really well as well. Because
I mean, that's a great idea as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, and it's really reasonable. And
So what is it on the Monday? What's the offer, people?
yeah, so
Come
it's 4 courses and it's 30 quid, and then you got optional add-ons like snacks and stuff like that. But the 4 courses, like if you had just the 4 courses, you'd be stuffed. As last night, we had many people roll out of here last night. A couple of people did all the snacks, which was a bad idea.
More than one of the snacks as well. Very impressive.
But yeah, you can come in, you can have 4 courses. You can literally come in and pay 30 quid, and that's it.
Drink tap water.
And it's
cool.
people were like, oh, it's 4 courses, it's going to be like tiny portions or whatever. No, it's the same standard of offering that we have. And we have good produce on. Like, we have like our fallow, which is a super expensive thing. We have our chalk stream trout, or yesterday we had local crayfish on, which were amazing. And I put as much effort into that as I do with the rest of the week. And it's a good time for me to test dishes out.
Well, there's nothing really opening on a Monday, really.
No.
It's a great night.
Well, not even on Pershore, like just in general.
Yeah.
It's like
The
a
whole of Birmingham seems to be shut on a
day
Monday.
off. Yeah. So we do get a lot of hospo crew in on a Monday and Tuesday, which is really nice, obviously, as well. And also sometimes it's a segue into people being, not understanding they don't have to spend more than 30 quid on the other days of the week, but coming in and saying, I'm just going to spend 30 quid or whatever. They'll come on the Monday, and a lot of our guests come in any day of the week. They come in for the first time, and because Erin's got the laptop out, they'll book for their next meal while they're sat, which is nice.
Well, that's a good time to do it.
Yeah, it is a good time.
That.
Yeah. It is a really good time to do it. And because, like, you're not looking online, Erin's like, when you go, like, the airports.
Yeah.
Get
exactly
you a
what it's
flight
like.
in 4 hours.
It's what I've trained for my whole life.
Do you have a favourite dish?
Goodness gracious.
It changes a lot.
Should we tell you our favourite dish?
Yeah,
That's a good place to
It's an
start.
obvious
yeah.
one. Isn't
It's
it?
obviously
Crab
the
muff.
muffin. Yeah.
Well, it was just one of the
One of
highlights
the
of
best
last year.
things
That
I've
one.
ever-
Yeah, it's a
So
good dish.
nice.
It's a good dish. We even got a sticker for it.
Yeah.
We even got a sticker for it. Do you guys have stickers?
No.
We'll
Wow.
give you some.
No,
We'll
they
give you
don't have
some.
that.
Stickers.
The crab muffin's great, and that was a complete fluke of a dish anyway, because it was around that snowstorm last year where we couldn't get any produce in, but we could find crab.
Yeah. Couldn't bake flatbreads in the pizza oven either because it was snowing so much.
Yeah, it was like the snow was flying into my pizza oven.
Classic Pershore.
Action.
The road of sirens.
Well, the tartar stuck out for me last time we were here.
Yeah,
that
so
was
I've
great.
taken
was
that-
it mustard? So was it mustard seed?
Rapeseed.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, that
Love
was
them, love them.
with nori sheets. And stuff like
yeah,
that. That was
yeah.
so good.
We've taken that off now just because we got a couple of dishes that have like a similar dressing on. So we've gone back to a dish that I used to have on in Cape Town, the honey cured beef, which is really nice as well. But that's the nature of the menu, is it changes all the time. There'll be things that are like familiar, and then there'll be things where I'm starting to, now that I feel like we've got our legs in a bit, I'm starting to push the boat out a little bit. Especially now that it's getting warmer, and I've got more options for, like tomatoes are going to come back in soon. The fish offering is going to change. The game offering is going to change. Like all these things are happening now, which I love. I really like that. That being said, I love the winter produce as well. But I'm looking forward to spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just change it when you get bored of something, or is it?
If I did that, I'd
Get bored
change
of
things like
cookies,
5
yeah.
times a day.
Do you have anyone kick off, like come back and say, "Where's that
Yeah.
dish I had the last time?"
People are generally quite understanding, but people do get upset. Like obviously, if you sit down, the crab muffin's not there or the rarebit's not there. People
Or
are
it's
like, "Where is it?"
on
But
the
then
weekend,
it's
like, oh, where's the deviled egg? I'm like, really?
Devil eggs, brilliant.
Isn't it?
It's a
Yeah,
good
listen,
deviled
it's
egg.
delicious,
Yeah.
and I eat them after service.
Yeah.
But I think we had like a Bellini on that night, and something else that was really good.
yeah.
I don't know. We've always got that. My answer to those things is like, I understand, and I feel you, but the menu tonight, any menu I do, I've never done a menu that I'm like, tonight's menu isn't as good as last night's. I always think tonight's menu is better than last night's.
Yeah.
I can't know this place more than
Yeah.
anything. Don't get me wrong, some of the dishes I've had, I can't wait to try them again. Hopefully I will. But I see this as a place you're pushing boundaries, you're doing stuff that no one else is really doing. It's different food, and I want to see where that progresses.
Yeah, it's like a roulette of something we actually want to do coming up is we want to do something called a rabbit roulette, where you basically just put your trust in us and we'll just feed you.
So
That's my kind of
It's like no menu, we'll just feed you, and then it'll obviously be things that are on the menu, but it might be things that like I don't know, like things I can only get a really small amount of that I want to obviously like have people have, but I can't put it on the menu because it's so scarce.
Yeah.
And then so it'll be like rabbit roulette, and it'll be like, let's say like 10 courses or whatever. It's still really reasonable priced. Yeah.
That's the only thing I do like about tasting menus. Obviously, everyone hates the price, but just not having to choose and just having I want the best that chef's going to give me. I want bring it all
the
on.
Monday's a little bit like that, but it's only 4 courses.
Yeah.
So you are putting your trust in us, but it's for 4 courses, whereas we can do it for 6, 8, or 10, or whatever it is. We haven't quite figured it out. We're going to do that next week, is figure out exactly what the offering is. And then just have it as a thing on the menu, and just tell us go, and we'll go. Yeah.
Awesome. So we've done like over an hour. Guess fast.
Yeah, it does go fast, man.
Dust these up.
Oh shit!
Do you want me to?
How hard did I blow then?
That's going to be on the outtakes.
This will all be in. We're keeping this in.
I love it.
Love a good blooper
Shows that
reel.
it's real.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love an outtake. Like when we used to do the, we used to do the staff dinners for Carters.
Yeah.
I used to love doing the outtakes
Yeah.
because I used to do the socials as well. And like when I'd add the videos, I'd be like try and like slip in all the ones that weren't good because they were so much better.
Yeah.
But I normally
Stuff like it's real.
get
and I
away
think
with
people
it.
appreciate that more.
Yeah. Just
If everything's
depends what
perfect,
you're like.
boring.
Depends what your voice is like, isn't it? Like your voice on socials.
Yeah.
I'll get through the questions quickly. What's your favourite movie?
Ooh,
Train spotting.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, Interstellar.
I haven't seen it.
It's
Mate!
really good.
Is it really
It's
good?
really good.
Nice.
That's Christopher Nolan. Film.
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
So all of my favorite films are Christopher Nolan, but that one for me is like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Although I must say, June 2 was up there.
Oh my god.
I
it was
haven't seen it yet.
insane.
He's
Oh,
seen it.
mate.
You've seen it. Everyone's seen it. He went without me. Don't get me started. I was sitting at home doing nothing. He texted me on.
We might go again if you want to tag along.
Yeah,
I might do. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
desperate
yeah.
to see it.
It's so good.
It's insane.
It's so good.
It's one of those films that, like, for me, I'm like a big sci-fi nerd.
Yeah.
Clearly.
If that wasn't obvious.
But I want to see like back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm hoping
Love
the
it.
Mockingbird do that soon.
Love-
They
yeah,
tend to do
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, we did that with Top Gun. It was sound.
That was a good day.
Yeah. How good was that new Top Gun as well?
So
Oh,
good.
mate, I
So
loved
good.
it.
So good.
And then we literally did the double bill. Where then neither of them are short movies either. We did
No, they're longer than you
like
think.
quick wee break, get some more popcorn, start the second one. It was
Yeah.
so good.
It was mega.
What's your favourite band or artist?
Oh god, that depends on like the hour of the day.
Yeah.
Right now, Thrice.
Oh, that's been yours for years. Years.
Yeah. It's it's Thrice time.
I don't know, baby. Who's mine? Tricky one.
It was a very hard question.
It is. Some of they sound easy, but
It's a really tricky one because like
We're both really into our
quite
music.
eclectic
Yeah.
in choices. Like the only music I don't like is jazz, scat
Yeah.
jazz. I hate it. But otherwise, I'm very loosey goosey with music, and even though I'm sure you know our playlist here is like very broad.
yeah.
So maybe not a band, but just like a genre or two would be like rock and roll and old school hip hop.
Mm.
Those are like my two faves.
That's great. If you're getting takeaway, what are you getting?
Mostly Chinese, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get a Chinese, even though Changyang's quite far, like it slaps. And then otherwise a curry. We've got a curry pretty much between here and ours in
Yeah.
Carteridge called Curry Kingdom. Curry with a K.
Curry with a K.
And I'll tell you what,
It's amazing.
delicious.
It's good.
Yeah.
And I'm in South Africa. We've got good curry, like really good curry, and it's up there. But if for anyone listening who wants to order from Curry Kingdom, there's a portion of the menu called staff curries,
Yeah.
and it's literally like the staff curries, and you get like loads of like bits and bobs that go with them, like all the sides, a couple of like chutneys and that, and the staff butter chicken is
It's stunning.
delicious.
Yeah,
really
it
good.
is our whole vibe, and it tastes good when you reheat it, which I think is obviously a go-to with curry anyway. But,
Yeah, I've got to a stage now where I almost over-order, so I have some.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like
a
options.
breakfast naan,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favourite classic cocktail?
a mojito.
Martini.
Martini. How do you have yours?
Dry as.
Dry as possible. A swirl in the glass. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Dry or dirty. Obviously, the guys next door couch make they do a Vespa martini, which is delicious. But yeah, I would say it's one of them litmus tests as well. It's like an acid test. If you go to a place and you say, "Can you do me a martini?" and it's good, then it's like,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
if any fancy restaurant, the first thing I'll ask for is a martini.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
I
good start,
expect
right?
to be asked lots of questions about
Yeah.
how I want it as
Yeah.
well.
It's a
Not
good
just
start
bog
to any
standard.
like meal or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
martini.
I tend to find 8's the magic number of martinis. You can hit 8, you're having a great night.
Mate, to be fair,
Goodness.
the Vespers I could do
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
I could do them, but
Yeah.
I mean the drinks there are strong, very strong.
yeah.
What's your favourite food destination in the world other than Birmingham?
Other than Birmingham, well, up until now it's been Korea.
Yeah, South Korea was insane.
South Korea.
Yeah, I bet
I
that's good.
mean,
We had the pleasure of going last year, and it was like we left. You know, sometimes you leave a location and you're like, I can't wait not to eat X again.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
left
yeah.
and we were like, no, we need to like turn around and
we
go
went-
back.
not any shade on Italy, but we left Italy we went to Italy for around the same amount of time last year, and as we were leaving, I was like, if I see another pasta ever, it'll be too soon. And same with like pecorino and that. And then when even on the way back from Korea, I was like, how are you gonna make sure that as soon as we arrive, we've got like kimchi and rice and noodles and like
We'll never get a soy
Wait,
fermented
how are we gonna
crab in
barbecue?
Birmingham. Yeah, anchovy broth,
yeah.
cold
So
noodles.
that chef that I told you about earlier, that man told me his background was Korean. So I've been cooking with these flavors for years and years and understood a little bit about the culture. But when we got there, I knew we were going to have a good time. And it was like,
It was so good.
highly recommend. Highly
Yeah.
recommend.
We went to Japan on our honeymoon. I really regret not going to South Korea.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
I really
yeah.
wanted to as well.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, mate, if you ever get the opportunity, we're trying to find a way to go back, really,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
as soon as possible.
Awesome. That's us.
Yeah. So we're
Love
done. Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank everyone for watching, listening, whatever you did. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
guys.
much.
Yeah, so there you go. I hope it shone through what we were talking about in the intro. Just two incredible people. Thanks very much, Erin, Ash, inviting us down to Rabbit and Stirchley. Absolute cracking episode. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
If you did enjoy it, please go and tell a friend. Just tell one person. It really helps with the algorithm. Gives us a push. Gets us more subscribers. If you loved it, subscribe. Yeah, there you go. So you won't
That's a
miss
good
the
one.
next episode. Thanks again to our sponsors, Easy Food, the Flat Rate Fee app. Just don't mess about. Just go and join them. And Burning Barn Rum, obviously locally made, craft rum. Incredible. Look good in any bar, restaurant, or cocktail bar, anything like that. Go check them out.
Yep.
Thanks again to both our sponsors. Thank you for listening. See you next week for absolute. I mean, I know I use the word legends a lot, but next week, two legends
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
hospitality scene.
Yeah, you'll see.
Yeah, Aaron Hines and the Plough. Two Adams. Thanks very much.